Hi everyone, thanks for being with me. I want to talk about the shit show which is the United States. And this, what's happening in the United States does concern all of us because of the powerful nation that they are. You know, it's not, well actually it is their fault. They've got a clown by the like of Donald Trump running the place, and a lot of co-clowns that sort of sit around him, bowing to him, kicking his ass when necessary, saying lovely things about him, putting him in a bubble that suggests that Donald Trump is the man that's totally in control. When the reality he isn't. I think there are other people around him who are pulling his strings. Stephen Miller, in particular, is one of those dudes who's convincing him on a daily basis that there are so many illegal people living in the United States, particularly now California, and that the numbers must be higher in terms of those that they're deporting. It's like a game. And somehow Miller's in charge of all of this, and of course Trump's going along with it because Trump believes that this is how he expresses his power and his authority. It's a load of bullshit. But nevertheless, this is what is happening. And it's worth reporting on from 12,000 kilometres away because it affects us. So Monday next week, Anthony Albanese is going to the G7, and he's going to be talking at some point to Donald Trump about tariffs. Now, we need to accept the fact that Donald Trump has no idea about what tariffs actually do, how they impact us, and the fact that, you know, we have a surplus with the United States. So we import far more than we export. So, but Donald Trump wouldn't care about that. No one cares. You know, the fact that Albo's going to endeavour to chat to him is, I guess, a diplomatic thing to do. But at the end of the day, it means bugger all. It's not going to change anything. Trump's a moron. Nothing's going to change his attitudes at all. We're not going to have steel and aluminium tariffs diminished in any particular way. That's just not going to happen. But was interested in how the media portrays what is happening in the United States. And I've got two clips I want to show you. So the first one is with Patricia Karvelas speaking to Malcolm Turnbull about what's happening in the US. And so we have a really good presenter, a journalist, asking someone else a question who is a politician who's actually had dealings with Donald Trump in the past, as we well know. And so they're going to talk a little bit about what's happening, and Malcolm gives his impressions of that. And then we have Sky News, where the woman whose name I can never remember, relatively new to the game, I think, is asking a person about the same issue, and that person is a comedian. No one who's necessarily met Trump, no one with any political experience, just this random dude who happens to be a comedian, has probably got a podcast, probably occasionally, now and again, will say something that's humorous, even though I don't think there's anything necessarily humorous in this particular take. But I'm going to put this up for you just to show you the frustration there is when reporting on this issue. One can be an interview with someone who knows what they're talking about, and the other one is an interview with nobody who doesn't know what they're talking about and clearly sits on the right of politics. Now, we can't say that Turnbull necessarily is on the far left, even though he's a moderate, but is certainly a little bit left than some of those people that you'd find in the Liberal Party these days. Nevertheless, this is what Turnbull has to say.
What do you make of what we're seeing in LA? Marines being called in, really a really, really dangerous situation unfolding.
Well, it is exactly that. It's a very dangerous situation unfolding. You can understand Governor Newsome feeling that Trump is trying to provoke a greater crisis there. I mean, this is the governor of the largest state in America, California, who Trump refers to repeatedly in social media as Governor News Scum. So that's, this is what we've got to get our head around. This is a very different kind of president. And yes, there is a real unhappiness about these deportations and, seizing people who are undocumented immigrants and, dragging them off with their kids left at school with no one to pick them up and so forth. It's not the kind of process that you'd expect in a country that we've always understood to be governed by the rule of law. But the concern is, and this is what Governor Newsome said, and I agree with him, the concern is that this is essentially a provocation. So it's, these are dangerous times in America. If you follow the American press and media generally, as I'm sure you do, and most Australians probably do nowadays, there are many people in America now, serious people, experienced people, who are concerned that America is slipping into a sort of a realm of authoritarianism, almost of tyranny, and that should be very concerning for us. So let's hope that common sense and the rule of law prevail.
And they won't. At the end of the day, this whole thing is just going to get worse and worse and worse. And fascism in the United States has arrived, and you need to confront that issue because it is real. So we've got then, of course, Sky News are doing their business around all of this, and so I'm just going to play just a segment of this because I find the whole thing quite irrelevant, but it does show you the contrast between the ABC, real journalist, real politician, person that's met with Trump, knows what they're talking about, versus this particular scenario, which for whatever reason, I don't understand who this guy is. I haven't even looked him up, which is I often do just to find out kind of the degree of politics that they talk about. But here they are.
And Democrats have been calling these riots peaceful. I mean, Gavin Newsome has been posting all over X constantly. He recently wrote, "California, don't give Donald Trump what he wants. Speak up, stay peaceful, stay calm, do not use violence, and respect the law enforcement officers that are trying their best to keep the peace." So he's acknowledging that there is violence in the same breath as saying stay.
No, you're wrong. He's saying let's let there not be violence. Let's make sure that these protests are peaceful. This is what he's saying. It really annoys me the way these people distort the facts.
Peaceful. And Karen Bass, who you mentioned, went on CNN making her case for troops to be withdrawn.
This is intentional chaos. I had talked to representatives of the Trump administration earlier on to tell them that the Los Angeles Police Department could control things that were happening here and that there was no need to federalize troops. And so to have this here is really just a provocation and something that was not needed in our city.
So they're saying that it was unnecessary. This is the point. It is unnecessary, but no. Now, of course, couldn't have Sky News hearing that statement at all because that would be contrary to their own motivation and their own narrative.
It's amazing watching Karen Bass being proven wrong in real time. She's on CNN saying that it's peaceful. Meanwhile, there's Vision showing just how badly the riots have escalated. What do you make of the two leaders, Bass and Newsome?
Well, to be fair to Governor Newsome and Mayor Bass, I guess since most of the cars that they've blown up.
Who in the hell's Alex Stein? I don't know who he is. Someone might tell me. Maybe he's someone that's important, but he's not a touch, I think, on someone like Malcolm Turnbull.
Are self-driving cars? Theoretically, yeah. I mean, I guess they're not hurting. Less people are getting hurt. They're just burning the cars. And since it's AI driving it, I guess less people are getting hurt in their book. No, it's insane. I mean, it's just like the president of Mexico telling the ICE needs to stand down here in America. It doesn't make sense. Why do foreign countries want to dictate what our government and military and police force can do here? And why does Karen Bass and Governor Gavin Newsome want to lie and obfuscate the truth of what's happening in their state? Like, it's just so obvious that the rest of the country looks.
Because number one is you in the United States get involved in everybody's affair around the world. Why shouldn't we have an opinion that you're a bunch of dicks and that you are a country that is now out of control? This is just the way it is. Why don't you accept that? It's the way it is. I don't understand it. You need to grow up. But this particular dude is trying to convince us that what Gavin Newsome and Karen Bass are saying is that they don't want violence, they're not encouraging violence, they want peace, the protesters should be peaceful, they should protest, that is their right, but they don't want to see violence. And that Trump is encouraging the violence by simply having the army, in effect, turn up to confront the protesters. Whereas Newsom and Bass are saying, well, we can cope with it, we can deal with it, we've dealt with it before in the past when we've come to these situations, let us deal with it now. You don't need to be here, and by law, we have to invite you in anyway. So this is the way it is in the United States. They're a mess, an absolute mess. And the rest of us are looking at this, particularly here in Australia, and in a way we're laughing our socks off because you guys in the United States who have this sense of United States exceptionalism that no longer exists. Trump has washed that down the toilet. A gold toilet, I would hasten to add, but a toilet nevertheless. And we're sitting back thinking Europe, Asia, China, Australia, the Pacific, we're the ones now with the power. You guys don't have any whatsoever. You need to start to learn to live with it. And Sky News certainly ought to start to get their facts right, because at the end of the day, I heard recently you guys are going to be sold off. Who knows what happens to you when that occurs? In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.